everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Dance Talk Realness, a podcast where we discuss all nuances concerning education and dance, because a dance experience is an experience worth talking about. I'm your host, Truly B, here with my awesome co-host as always, Daryl P.
Hey.
And today we are going to be talking about plagiarism in the dance world. So one of the examples we were talking about offline that came to mind instantly was the situation that occurred with Beyonce's choreography for Countdown, when it was put side by side with choreography by choreographer and Teresa de Kierismaker. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. I can spell it though. Pronunciation. And then most recently, not movement based, but also instance of potential, because allegedly, I don't know that this has been resolved yet, but the Cardi B's Up, and then there's a duo, these guys, I don't remember their name, sorry. I know I'm supposed to have these types of notes prepared, I didn't. But like I watched a short YouTube clip of someone else's show, and like he played them jokers back to back, side by side, and then like overlapping, and it was like, oh yeah, I can see how you say this is the same thing. Mm-hmm. So in dance, I know I've heard this said a lot. I try not to subscribe to it, but also I get it, is that there's no new movement. It has happened before. Now, whether it was documented or if it was used in a specific style, that may be a toss-up, but there's nothing new. Now, I try not to subscribe to that simply because I feel like that's almost, in a way, if you don't know how to process that beneficially, then that could be kind of like become a hindrance to creating new works. Because you're like, well, there's nothing new anyway, so why try? But I also get it, because like if someone puts a tendu in their piece, like you can't tell me that hasn't happened. A plie, right. A soda shot, like you can't tell me these things have not occurred. But I think the intent behind, the purpose behind, the approach, the movement surrounding it, I think that's important to also take into consideration. And so when we're talking about plagiarizing dance movements, how I've seen it and what I've told students is, if it is a phrase of movement that are verbatim what you've been taught or what you've seen someone else do, that's where it becomes problematic. So it's not that, oh, okay, like this gesture, you can't say no one else in the world has ever done that gesture at some point. But if I'm doing it in the exact same format as Beyonce's Single Ladies video, then at that point, I consider that plagiarism. Like it can't just be like a movement. It has to be like a phrase. And that's where I think it gets problematic.
Would you say even the phrase, like you said, in the same context, so the phrase in the same context is plagiarism? Yes. Okay. Yeah, yes. I agree. Yeah, and I think that it's I 100% agree with you, and I think that it, I just hope that we're still in a place where we're creating new movement and are really trying to explore movement creativity and movement development and whatnot. And I think it speaks to just, I don't know. It's almost like how there's all these samplings, right? But I feel like we're like musically, right? We're in a culture of like a lot of samples, and like you hear these songs and you hear these rhythms, right? And you're like, I've heard that before, but sometimes I think, is it, is it done because we're uncreative and so we don't have any other real rhythms to come up with that hasn't been done before? Or is it because it's for nostalgia, right? And it's like, if you hear, taking over for the 99 in the 2000, are you playing that for nostalgia? Or are you playing it just because you just don't have anything else that you can't
Yeah.
create? And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, right, like we know what hearing that does to people, right?
Hmm.
And how excited that makes people, right? And so it's like, are you having to use that to get someone excited about your song? But later then we realize, oh, that's not the song I thought it was. I mean, I always
Yeah.
have there's so many songs that I feel like starts off and I start singing and I was like, oh no, that's not the song, that's like the remake of it. you know
Hmm.
um like Beyonce and Destiny Child do this a lot, I guess. Like there's the song "If," right? That song that starts off very similar to "Unforgettable" by Natalie Cole, right?
Hmm.
And so like they have a very similar intro, or or when people remake songs completely, like "Before I Let Go." Which I feel like if you were from a generation who remember Maze and Frankie Beverly and you grew up listening to that, and that is like your jam, which even being 37 years old, I still get excited when I
Yes.
hear that. To then hear people who are 10, 20 years younger than me hear the Beyonce version, think like, oh, that's my song.
Hmm.
And I'm like, but it's not the original
Yeah, it's not the
though.
100%. I am with you on that.
like
I'm like,
that is not. I
and
mean, I'm
I
glad.
will be. I will say I did not give that song a fair chance for that specific reason. That I'm
Right,
like,
exactly.
no,
Exactly.
it's not. That ain't Frankie.
Mm-mm.
That ain't. No, I don't want it.
I
I
don't want to
don't
hear
want
it.
it. I don't want this.
Right, exactly. I same here. I did not even. I don't even think I created anything to that song as much of a buzz as it was. But I think even in the dance community, right? Like in I mean, I think in hip hop dance is definitely, you do that for, the latest, whatever the latest move is, right? You're going to use that because that's what's in, right? And if I feel like if you're not using it now, it's not gonna be trending, and it's gonna be, oh, like,
Yeah.
everybody wants that to do
Yeah.
that, and like
Yeah.
there's just different things that it's like, nobody, then it becomes like, oh, we're still doing that.
Hmm.
Like I think I've choreographed a hip hop once and I did some move, I can't remember what it was, and someone was like, can we do this instead, which was like the more like current
Yeah.
trend, right? And it's like, well, yeah, sure, fine. I mean, I don't know what's trending right now. um
Like I'll take your word for it.
I'll
It's
take
fine.
your word for it. It's fine. It fits. Um, so, and then those trends end up leaving, but it's like, at least with that, right? At least
Mhm.
with that, I feel like that's move that I feel like, now that I think about it, it's really creative movement because it's moves that you don't like. They are coming up with new movement, right? Like
Mhm.
movement that isn't the Roger Rabbit. That's something I think that's so awesome about hip hop dance, is that it is literally creative movement, that I think people don't really realize. And
Mhm.
thinking about like the history of hip hop, right, and how it's all about the movement and the creativity and the art and the music, that it lends itself to be very creative. But when I think about, you think about ballet,
Yeah.
it's gonna be the same.
He's like, that's kind of set in stone.
That's set in stone.
Unless you're doing contemporary ballet,
Right.
but like just
Straight
traditional,
up.
like, yeah, no.
No,
And
that's gonna be the same.
I guess, well, no. I don't know, maybe somebody who's like all about that ballet life could talk more to that. But from what I have seen and experienced, once you start really pushing that boundary, you are leaving traditional ballet.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And so
Yeah.
then I think it's not, right, exactly. Then it's changed.
Mhm.
And I think then I think then you get into that realm of contemporary ballet. And then even within that, how is what you're doing different?
Yes.
you
Yes.
know. So yeah, I think even, I've been taking some tap lessons
Yes,
from a
Tamp.
friend. Yeah, yeah.
Hey.
But I think, and I feel like that's also choreography. That's a little coded, so
Mhm.
it's not even a little, it's a lot coded. So it's definitely choreography that, I think when you're thinking creatively, yes, you put it in different patterns and whatnot, but like the steps for the most part are
You know what's interesting about
pretty
that?
what it was.
Random tidbit.
Hmm.
Um, Over the course of some of this research I am doing,
Hmm.
it initially was more like that, like more creative, and then you would have like, oh well, this is like that new like popping step that, oh okay, I saw you do it, so I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna use it because like it gets the effect that I want.
Hmm.
And then over time it has shifted into this more like this
To
is
get
this,
better,
that
yeah.
is it, this is the only way that you do this thing.
Hmm.
So that you know what, that makes me wonder if
The age of the dance makes it more, I don't know where you were going with that. That's
I'm like depending upon who takes it over, what does it do? I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to fix the sentence because it might be inflammatory, and I'm trying to be a good person on this here day.
right.
um
Who takes, I got you. I got you. Like
yeah, because the same
where,
happens within hip hop though.
correct.
Like when it is like just like street and like people are in it and they're in the community, that's completely different than when you have someone teaching it at a studio, different from the people who are teaching it for a competition. That's
Hmm.
different.
Hmm.
So I'm like, I think that has something to do
To
with
do
it.
with,
But I
yeah.
legit just learned that about like the history of tap like recently.
Yeah.
Um, that I was like,
Well, I
oh,
think,
y'all was out here biting styles. Look at y'all.
yeah. Well, I think that goes into, we might be going down a
It's
rabbit
okay.
hole a
It's
little
all
bit, and that's
right.
okay. But I know yeah, we'll circle back
We'll circle
eventually.
back at some point. It's fine.
But that even makes me think of just education in general, right? And
Mhm,
about how, you think about the philosophies and the philosophers who were just out living and reading and experiencing, and like those were like the authentic versions of education, right? And
mhm,
being able to take in knowledge and knowledge that you were interested in. But I think whenever something becomes, I think to codify something means to really start to strip it of its creativity.
mhm. It becomes stagnant is the word that popped in my head while you were saying that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think and it has to become stagnant, because I think then people start to say, well, how can we know you're doing it right?
Hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And how do you know that you're teaching it correctly? How do you know that how can we pass this down in an effective way? Almost like it's, for something to be codified almost means it's almost to maybe even preserve,
Hmm. I can agree with that.
and
Yeah.
I mean, which makes sense, right? Like if you can't, if everything is always something that's just word of mouth, passed down in the moment, experiencing, it becomes really hard for it to have some type of longevity. So eventually it has to be codified. And so when something is codified, there is this right or wrong way
Hmm.
um, of doing it. And then I think when you have these right or wrong ways, it's like sometimes doing something the wrong way is how you develop into something that is new,
Yeah.
right? I think like taking Fosse, right? Taking Fosse not being able to move correctly in his movement,
Hmm.
kind of came up with his own, like, this is called Fosse, right? Because of his scoliosis and,
Hmm.
some of the other issues that he had. So it's like, I think and I think this is, just as we're teaching young dancers, right? When we're trying to force them to do something a certain way, right? Like, I think it inhibits them from really having those creative aha moments, or like thinking, oh, well, that's not how I would have done it, but you're doing it this way.
Yeah.
So, congratulating those moments of like those moments of creativity. Um, and I think if we had more of that, maybe we wouldn't have all these like plagiarisms where it's like, I to make this record sell, to make this dance be more interesting, that I need to have these steps and these moves that are um, recognizable, or
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Noted.
Like, I agree. Um, and I also think a part of it comes down to there's a difference between being inspired by, which I would lean more towards, like with creativity, you can be inspired by the things you see other creatives doing
Mm-hmm.
versus straight plagiarism that is like, I'm just going to take this thing
Mm-hmm.
and say, I did this.
Right.
Um, which also can lead us down that whole conversation about appropriation. We should just do a whole series on that
Mm-hmm.
because I have opinions. But I don't think there's an issue personally with taking inspiration, because if you do something and I'm just like, yes, I really love that. That inspired me to take it and do it like this or put it in this context. And at the same time, I'm like, oh, this was inspired by Daryl's work, blah, blah, blah. As opposed to me just saying on the inside, ooh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just put out this whole work that, people who don't know you
Mm-hmm.
just assume that it's all
Mm-hmm.
me.
Right.
But if someone does know your work, then that's when they're like, well, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't didn't he did that, didn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened. That was the biggest issue to me, in my opinion. Because again, do I be doing all this research? Not really. I read the thing on Beyonce and the Curious Maker like a long time ago. Um, like when it was closer to like fresh
Mm-hmm.
happening, because this was a little bit ago. And I think that was the main issue, that it wasn't a case of, at least initially, that from the jump I'm telling you, oh, I was inspired or my team was inspired by this person's work. And so we felt it fit what we were trying to go for. So that's what we did. It was just kind of like, here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is where the biggest one of the biggest issues lies with it.
Right.
And you know what? See, now that makes me wonder, like when I'm teaching, if the student said to me, okay, well, I was inspired by this, like without me assigning that specifically, would I say okay? That's a
Right.
good question.
That
Because
is a
I've
good question.
assigned specifically, like, okay, I want you to create a piece inspired by this person's work.
Mm-hmm.
But if
If
they did
someone
it on
took
their
on
own,
their own and did their own research and was like, this really made me think. Yeah, I think
yeah.
that is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It also makes me think too, um, kind of along the lines of what you were saying about appropriation. What if this was kind of like Beyonce's? Because like we mentioned before off camera, that countdown video was not the first time she's done like
Yeah.
move for move with videos. I wonder if that's like her own kind of like screw you to communities that have stolen
Mm,
from Black communities for years and taken
mm,
things and not really given credit for. Now we would think that, okay, Beyonce, you're this multi-million dollar like, star. You don't, I mean, maybe use your platform in another way. But, maybe that kind of series was, or maybe, I mean, I would hope that she would know that.
yeah.
That it wouldn't just be kind of like her creative team comes in and said, "This is what we're doing," and she's like, "Oh, this real cute," that she really.
She gives me the impression that she wouldn't. So I am also hoping that with you.
Yeah, um, that, just kind of a, we're gonna use this. We're gonna use
Yeah.
this because we can. It's out there, which
Mm.
makes me think that how protected is choreography? Because, like, let me tell you, you use a tick tick boom from a song that somebody has created, and they're like, I created that tick tick boom. I'm gonna need
Yes.
my money for it.
Yes. I'm like, sir, that's
Like
in like a million things.
I
That was
don't.
from mine.
That was for mine. Pay me
Yeah,
my
that's
royalties.
true. That is
You
so
know.
true.
So it makes me think, like, for stuff like that, how protected is that? Like,
I feel like with
how protected
movement,
is
it's
how
not.
protective is our movement?
I
It
don't think it's protected for real at all. Like there might be some things in place, but I remember like this came up in a conversation when I was working on the MFA, and there was not a clear cut the way they do it with music. It was not that stringent.
mm-hmm,
Um, like I feel like definitely with music,
mm-hmm,
theater in the sense of I can't smooth just take like a whole scene or like a part of a scene and put that thing on like that
right,
doesn't belong to somebody.
right.
Um, huh.
But
I
if I
don't
take but
think.
if I take movement from a movie and put it in, like me choreographing for um the musical artist, and we did Macarena, right? So
Mhm.
um, I'm not gonna lie, we did a little cross and a head and a
Yeah,
head, right? So I mean, technically,
yeah. Like by all technical definitions, it
it
happened.
happened, right? But obviously, I got inspiration from the original
Yeah.
piece. The song itself is not the original Macarena song, different lyrics, but it does have, well, actually no, because the artist had to get the copyright from
Mm.
to use I don't know the Spanish version of, like, the part that says da 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 da
Yeah.
Macarena ba ba ba.
Child,
I
me
think
either.
that's still the same. Uh,
Okay.
but I also, kind of did my own choreography for it. But it's like, so if someone else comes in and, like, makes another remake of Macarena, let's say Daddy Yankee says, I'm gonna make another version of Macarena, and I see this video, my choreographer is gonna take my choreography then
Hmm.
and put it in a video, then I feel like, what protections would I have, right? I
Yeah.
feel like,
I think this is an assumption. I don't know. Don't quote this for real, for real. This is not legal advice at all. But what I think is that if it's happening within the context of like a music video, that they could swing it more because of that connection with music.
mhm,
But if you are like just as yourself, the artist producing like that as a part of your own show,
mhm,
I think you would run into more trouble trying to argue it then and like trying to protect it then.
mhm.
And that disparity is what gets me.
Well,
Um,
but yeah, and I think it's like one of those things where it's like, if I were to teach my students the complete section by section of Revelation,
mhm,
and I put it in my dance concert in which I am charging people
mhm.
to come see my reimagined version of Revelation, the Alvin Ailey Dance Company, may I ever know that High Point High School, although I'm saying it on.
Look, they're gonna be keeping their
they're gonna, they're gonna,
eye
they're
out.
gonna, they're gonna keep an eye out. They're gonna be like, wait,
It's like,
the minute we
what,
see that in
what y'all
your,
doing? What y'all doing?
which no, I wouldn't do that. But, like,
Yeah.
if we were to do that, like, it's not coming to, how would they know?
Yes. Yeah.
And here it is. I've just banked on a whole entire community seeing this, and I've not paid any royalties or anything
Mm,
to Alvin Ailey to take that.
yeah.
I have no
True.
right to take that.
Very true. Very true. I agree.
I feel
Um,
like even if you put it to different music, because that's what I think
mhm.
that's also the other thing that people do is like, well, I put it to a different song.
I was like, but if it's from top to bottom, frame by frame, the same
Same thing.
movement, I think that's equally as bad as if I take all your lyrics or all your music. Like I think it's the same.
Hmm.
Like you're wrong. Like you should
Yeah.
not do that. Or if you're going to, then go through that process of this one braid is irking the mess out of me. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to stop touching it. Um, but to go through the whole process of contacting whatever group, person, company, what have you, to get the permission of
Mm.
which, little me, I ain't got no money for that. So I'm like, we're just gonna be not inspired by nobody for real out in these streets because I don't have the money to pay you for sampling any of the things or restaging any of the things.
Right.
But when you are higher up on the financial totem pole,
Hmm.
why not go those appropriate routes? Like, I
Right.
mean, yeah, nobody wants to pay out. Okay, cool.
Right.
I understand that. Nobody does. That's just a thing. But also,
Hmm.
it's like when I actually don't like when people do this. And I've done it. I ain't gonna lie, I've done it. But where it's like it's better to apologize than to ask for permission. I'm
Hmm.
like, motherfucker, if you don't go ahead and ask, like give me the option. Like it's give me the option to tell you yes or no.
Right.
Like, because I don't want your stank ass apology. Like, I don't care that you apologize because you probably don't mean it. Because if you really were sorry, you wouldn't have done it in the first place.
First place. Right.
So I don't want that. Um, but people really be out here living like that's their life motto.
Right.
And yeah, I think that there's like so many avenues of this. But I think educationally speaking, and because like educationally speaking, we also get permission to use a lot of stuff because for
Hmm.
educational purposes.
Right.
Um, Even though we still ran into issues with concerts, that was always weird. But I
Yeah.
think it is important to really try to impress upon students that giving credit is extremely important. And if you have the access to contact the person,
Hmm.
contact them, get permission to use things. If you're not going to do that step though, at least notify like in your program notes or something. Like just make it clear
Hmm.
um that it is an original work inspired by fill
Right.
in the blank.
Right.
Um like I think a good example of that was the Essence of Ailey concert,
Hmm.
that it was inspired by Revelations. And like we definitely went through like with our kids and like, hey, let's look at some clips.
Hmm.
Okay, now that you have a feel for how this went,
Hmm.
okay, this is what we're doing. Because like all the choreography was like original choreography. None of it was any of the Ailey company's like work.
Right.
But same music, that first round is
Hmm.
same music, and the overall vibe was the same. So
Hmm.
I think educationally, it can be used in a good way.
Hmm.
But I think once we get out of the education realm, is where we start running into a lot more issues.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. I miss doing concerts.
Yeah.
That's off topic, but like I'm
Yeah.
100% choreographing for like 2 shows this semester. And I'm just like, this is a lot. I haven't
Yeah.
done this in a little bit. It's been a couple years. And I'm just like, oh, I miss it, but also it's a lot happening in one semester. And I have zero ideas, inspiration, none of it. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I'm gonna run an idea past you when we get off of here.
Okay.
Um, I have one song but the most I can have is a trio.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just like, and they can't partner. And I'm like, I love partnering though.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
contact improv, none, no contact. Ugh, I don't like
Ooh,
it.
unless you do a like have each dancer have a prop.
Mm, that could work
Yeah.
because that made me sad when I was like, they can't partner though. I was like, I don't know what to do now. That ruined it. But
Right.
then I think the other one's going to be a solo, but it's the solo that I'm going to run past you.
Okay.
I'm let you know what I think. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's all we got on this topic.
No, I think yeah, because I think a lot of dancers probably think about this too, right? And like in
Yeah.
terms of we're always so confined with like our copyright issues with the music that
Mm,
we use for concerts and everything. But I feel like when it comes to like our own creative, what's the word I'm looking for? Intelligent.
I know what you're trying to say. I know the word. Oh, because I was going to say it earlier.
It belongs to us. Our creative
Yes. Oh my God. Wait. No. Between the
intellectual
two.
property.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Intellectual property. That is a
Intellectual
thing.
property. Yes,
Yes.
yes, 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 yes. I'm like creative
I was like,
property. It belongs
it's in
to
your
us,
head and it belongs to you.
and it belongs
Like,
to
that's
us.
not helpful. Intellectual property.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think when it comes to our own intellectual property, as far as like creativity and stuff, I think that we don't get a lot of protections. And I wonder
Yeah.
if that would be worth like a dance community really
Yes.
looking at phrase work over time, right? And kind of saying like, you can't use,
Yeah.
you just can't go out, you just can't be out there using stuff and it don't belong
Like,
to
you
you.
can't just be like, so I'm going to just use this dance
Yeah,
over
yeah,
here.
over here. And
And I think, especially like when you're making a profit off of it.
well, and see, that makes me think about like some of the I think really the people who have really kind of maybe started this conversation are the TikTokers. I think it's the
Mm,
TikTokers because those kids are out there making these videos, and TikTok, because they're helping to promote TikTok, TikTok is paying these people for it.
yeah.
But on the flip side of it,
Yeah.
it's like that's content that people are being paid for, that somebody else is the originator of the content. So it's like,
Yes.
so
And
it's
there's been a
like,
few instances of that really blowing up. Like, pause.
right.
This person is the originator. Like, why are they not
Why are they not being credited?
the
Why are
one?
they not?
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
exactly, exactly. And I think
Yes.
that will be, I think maybe even that's some, if anybody listening want to research that, that would be worth researching
Yeah. True. Because
and figuring out
yeah.
ways that, how some of these, I don't know if they've ever become lawsuits or they're just kind
Mhm.
of like the community itself is kind of managing how
Mhm.
that is done, and redirecting people like, no, 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 if you want the originator, or you need to, a lot of people like, if you are doing stuff, you need to at that person in your
Yeah.
description so that way people know that that's the original. And I
Yeah.
feel like,
Agreed. Agreed. Because that's similar to like making sure, like in your program notes, that you're
hmm
like, okay, this is from this person or inspired specifically from this person's work, instead of
hmm
just being out there and allowing um, the community to believe that this is all your own property and that
hmm
you came up with it yourself without any aid. So
right,
yeah, yeah, no, that is a very, very good example of that.
yeah.
Yes, agreed.
hmm
Yeah, I definitely do feel though that as a field, we do need to look into tightening that up a little bit more.
hmm
Like, I don't know if we need to be as insane as the music industry is with it,
yeah.
but there does not need to be some level of protection that's guaranteed, that
hmm
no matter what, you at least know this amount is covered. And then
right,
anything that goes beyond that, then case by case.
case by case, right, exactly, exactly.
Awesome. Thank y'all for
Yeah.
joining us here yet again at Dance Talk Realness. If you have any questions, observations, any things that you want us to talk about, shoot us a message. We will do that for you. Make sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe, all the things that you do on all the platforms where you do it at. If we ever add another, you know how I am. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. But we look forward to bringing you some fresh new content next week. We'll see you then. Bye.